This is Group 5 presenting black box testing. We include Spencer Chappell, Ryan Gale, Ermin Garage, Fraser Lefray, Ethan Nelson, and Michaela Smith.
So, black box testing. What is it? Well, as you can see on this image on the right, black box testing can be viewed as a box that accepts input and sends output. So, with black box testing, the user doesn't know, or the tester doesn't really know anything about the program, except that they can give it an answer and expect something in response, and they know what they should be able to expect from it. And that's how they're able to test and see if it's producing the desired results. But it can basically be considered a magic box that you know nothing about. Um, so test cases, it can be used for specifications and requirements testing. And that goes along with functional tests, which their purpose is to test whether or not it is functioning properly, whether or not it's producing the desired output, and non-functional tests about how it performs and how usable it is. And anyone can do black box testing. You don't need anything special because all you need to do is be able to provide input and expect output.
There are many upsides to black box testing. One of the upsides is that programmers and testers work separately. Testers do not need previous knowledge in programming languages. And these two right here are the best upsides. A lot of times hiring professionals can be taxing on company resources. And for black box testing, you do not need to hire professionals. As stated before, you just need to hire someone or have someone that can put in an input and expect an output. And another upside to the black box testing is that it's done from the user's point of view, meaning a lot of testing is done where they go through the different functions, they look for inconsistencies in the code. But with black box testing, it really only looks at what the user is going to look at. And that is great because it also can expose inconsistencies. Through much testing with black box, you're only looking at the inputs and outputs. So if you put in the same input and get different outputs, you can see those inconsistencies.
There are three major downsides to black box testing. The first downside is due to limited possible inputs, the user can only test so much without having access to other specific paths of the program, which will in turn allow a normal developer or someone who isn't using this method to create more test cases and find more defects. The second downside is that without clear specifications, the test cases will be difficult to design, especially because this method is based from an outside perspective or a user perspective. So basically, the only testing that is being done is the limited input and output from the user accessing. If you think of it as going on a website and testing the page, the user won't have access to the actual internal code of the web page. They'll only be able to click certain buttons on the page or access certain features like a menu. The third downside is that tests can be redundant if the designer or developer has already run a test case. So practically, the outside tester could be already testing things that were already done internally in the test case.
Additionally, we talk about effectiveness of black box testing. There are specific cases for which black box testing is good. Since we have different types of testing like black box, white box, and others, we'll talk about specific ways how black box testing is the most effective. So black box testing is the most effective for third-party evaluations. Very often companies hire a third party to come and test their software. It can be a security type of test or evaluation, or it can be a user evaluation. To expand on that, black box testing is usually used in security world to prevent open gates and holes in the software so the hackers cannot get in. We all heard about different breaches that happen in huge financial companies, and some of those breaches can be because of the network issues, or usually they are because of the weak software techniques, of weak coding techniques in the software, which is used in the production. Also, black box testing is done in the early stages for user approval of the product, or for user testing to see how users see the product, if the features work, to test the user interface as well. There's a list of the most effective errors which can be found in the list down below, and this includes incorrect or missing functions. So for example, if the software needs to have a specific function and the user tests that with the black box testing and it's not there, then it should be fixed. There could be some interface errors. We talked about security in the past. It includes also buffer overflow, when the user can input some code and then execute some system code via the software. And to analyze the boundary values, so if we have some values that go outside the boundary and then the software does not check for that, and usually it's used to detect vulnerabilities of the software.
All right, so now that you've learned about black box testing and what it is and what it's effective for, we would like to test your knowledge. So we'll ask a few questions. Question 1. What areas of software is black box testing most effective for? A. Database integrity. B. User experience. C. User acceptance testing. Or D. Back-end functionality. Question 2. Black box testing is considered a form of exploratory testing. A. True or B. False. Question number 3. What kind of qualifications does a black box tester need? A. A college degree. B. Previous experience in black box testing. C. High school or GED. Or D. No necessary qualifications. Thank you for taking the time to watch our presentation about black box testing. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you are interested in learning more, please review our references, and that's where you can find out more. Thanks.